Hey, what's up everybody? So as you can see, we are doing a little showcase, review, palooza, whatever anybody wants to call these kind of videos on YouTube, of the new retro Marvel Legends Spider-Man wave. I believe that is the right order, but might not be. But I am very excited for this. The Spider-Man cartoon was one of my favorite shows growing up when I was a kid. So when they revealed this wave on Hasbro Pulse or whatever convention showed this off, I was very excited. It might have been New York Toy Fair. And as soon as I saw the boxes, I was sold because this is straight up nostalgia. Can't really see all of it in this angle, but there you go. You can see the top of it, Marvel Comics, Spider-Man, but more so based on the TV show, as you can see with the pictures of the characters on the boxes. So we'll dive in here and take a look at each one of the figures in this wave. A lot of these are previous sculpts, but there are some new pieces in here, and especially the Spider-Man is all brand new. So we'll take a look at this, and I'll show you guys what I think. All right, and starting off with the armored Daredevil figure that was featured in quite a few episodes of the cartoon, as well as I think it made some appearances in a comic book in a few different variations. I was probably looking forward to this figure the least out of the wave, but still very cool. I wanted the entire wave, so that's why I kind of splurged on buying the whole case. But as you can see, it's pretty much a new sculpt, I believe, for the most part, because these armored pieces are actually built into the body. So it could have been a base of like a Bucky Cap mold, but built in with these little plastic pieces, because I don't know if you guys can see, but these are actually part of the sculpt, so this might be brand new. But we got these armored parts on the shoulder, which I believe are glued. Yeah, those are glued. They do kind of hinder the articulation of him lifting his shoulders, but if you kind of move it out of the way and raise it up, it gets rid of it, even though it's just gonna be chilling under his armpit. But anyway, cool looking figure. I like the color. It's more of a metallic paint than what we see on other Marvel Legends. It almost looks like the paint that they use for like Iron Man figures and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. Standard articulation, nothing crazy. No butterfly joints, unfortunately, which I think would have been good for this figure. I don't think we've actually had a Daredevil figure with butterfly joints, which is unfortunate, but I could be wrong. And then he comes with these arm protector things, which is basically just his fighting sticks. His batons just tied to his wrist. And accessory-wise, he comes with, obviously, the batons that most Daredevil figures would come with. And he comes with the alternate Matt Murdock cut sculpt, which I believe came with the Walgreens exclusive yellow and red McDonald's style Daredevil. And of course those open palm, open grip hands with the same metallic paint. And next up we have Electro, and this is the second release of this character, but on a new sculpt. I don't have the first edition with me right now, but I do like this a little bit better, a little bit more muscular. The other one was very, very skinny. Not somebody you'd think would be a supervillain and probably get beat up pretty easily. And I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it almost looks like, well, pretty sure that they did this, but it looks like the hands were molded in the clear plastic with the glove yellow painted over it. So there is some chipping whenever you kind of put these hands on and take them off. So it's kind of like a lot of NECA figures that have paint on them that if you pop something off, put it back on, it can kind of chip. I noticed that with the NECA Green Lantern John Stewart, Hal Jordan figure that came with the Predator. That one has paint chipping all over because of the gloves, the white paint. But this case, it's yellow, kind of chips off, so just be careful with the hands. And then he's packaged with, of course, normal fist hands. I mean, he's a cool figure. He's not one that I was super excited about, but it is cool to have an updated Electro. As for articulation, normal articulation for this style of figure, no butterfly joints, unfortunately, which I think all figures should have butterfly joints, but that's just me. And no alternate head sculpt for this guy either, so just some extra hands. Next we have the new Green Goblin figure, which of course comes with updated paint and a new head sculpt in order to give a more cartoony look to the character. This one has some nightmare fuel eyes, as you can see. They're kind of lopsided on mine. You can't really notice on camera probably, but they are a little off, which I guess can play along into the character. Yeah, the paint is very bright on this guy. Definitely will stand out on the shelf. So I'll probably just move my old Green Goblin to my villain shelf and this guy to my SpiderMan shelf. So the accessories he comes with are the normal throwing pumpkin that Green Goblin figures, or just regular Goblin figures would come with. And then we get the Norman Osborn head sculpt, which I will probably try to find a suited body, like the Agent Ross figure that came from the Black Panther 2-pack, or one other figure. So I don't know if this was intentional, but there's like some spots by his eyes that look like liver spots. I don't always think of Norman Osborn as being a super old man, but that's what it looks like. So I'm not sure if that's part of the sculpt or it's just a paint error, but cool to finally get a Norman Osborn head sculpt with a Green Goblin figure. So we'll definitely add that to my Thunderbolt shelf. It comes with that normal purse that we like to see, or satchel. It comes with the Goblin figures or Mary Jane. And then Hasbro went out of their way to let us know that they updated the glider to fit on that stand that came with the Demo Goblin Build-A-Figure. So standard articulation as you would expect from the previous Goblin figure. Once again, no butterfly joints, but I will stop ranting about that. So cool update to the Green Goblin figure. I'll take him off his base and stand him up for you guys. Probably won't have him standing, since, of course, he has that new glider to be on a flight stand. So, yep, normal Goblin figure, you know, exactly what you expect, but with updated paint and Nightmare Fuel eyes. Next up, we have the Gwen Stacy / Mary Jane figure, depending on which you choose to use. Most likely, I will be using this figure as a Gwen Stacy figure, since this is the first one that Hasbro has given us. Brand new outfit / sculpt, I believe. At least I don't remember this being on another figure. Here she comes with one binder, one book, which I'm not going to remove because it's a pain in the butt to get into this pose without it falling all over the place. And then, of course, she comes with a Daily Bugle newspaper accessory, as you can see, which I am actually using for the Peter Parker figure to just kind of carry around with his camera, as you'll see in a couple moments. So, at normal, what you would expect with a female Marvel Legends figure, but nice of them to throw in the Mary Jane head sculpt for an updated version of the character. And one gripe about the articulation of the Gwen Stacy figure is these heels. As you guys can expect, this figure constantly falls over. So, I wish they made this one solid piece in between there, or maybe like a clear plastic in between. That's the unfortunate part, so that's my only gripe, but otherwise a good figure. And as you can see, this is what the figure looks like with the Mary Jane head sculpt. Obviously, after mentioning that the books would fall if I did anything, they fell anyway when I changed the head sculpt. So, give a close-up of these. We have that binder, just a little chunk of plastic with paint on it, and the book that says Midtown High School, as you can see. So, nice touch to have some extra accessories with your Spider-Man shelf. This will look good in like a custom backpack or something for a Spider-Man figure to hang on to. So, just an idea. And then the Gwen Stacy head sculpt, a little close-up. For the most part, I got pretty lucky with my case when it came to paint apps. So, no crazy errors besides googly eyes, Green Goblin back there. But that is the Gwen Stacy Mary Jane figure. And just for size comparison's sake, here is Mary Jane next to the SpiderMan 2-pack Mary Jane. So definitely a height difference. And if you wanted to see them with the head sculpts reversed, here you go. And I gotta say, these switch head sculpts do look pretty good. This is actually the first time I've put the old head sculpt on the new Gwen Stacy figure. So this looks pretty good for a Mary Jane figure. The paint apps on this one, not the paint apps, but the color of the skin is a little off but it does work for the most part. And next up is the Peter Parker figure, which I was very much looking forward to. I hope at some point we do get a Peter Parker figure that has Spider-Man type articulation, since essentially he has those abilities even in street clothes. So just an idea if Hasbro decides to even take a look at this video, which is very unlikely. And as for the goggled head sculpt, as you can see, it is glued on. So no, you can definitely not remove this, but it is painted under there. So they went the route to paint it on. I mean, if you wanted to, you can tear these glasses off and throw them in the garbage. I'm not sure why they glued the glasses on a figure that could easily just take them on and off. Whereas with the gray beast figure, you have to put them on and they fall off. That doesn't make sense to me, but that's just my small gripe. But otherwise, figure looks good. Basically very similar to the Stan Lee figure we just got when it comes to articulation. So hopefully, like I said, we get an articulated Peter Parker figure at some point. As for accessories, he comes with the camera that you can hold in his hand. I think this came with another Marvel Legends figure. I might be mistaken, but this camera accessory looks familiar. And then, like I said, I've been using the Daily Beagle newspaper that came with Gwen Stacy as an accessory for Peter, so looks pretty good. And finally, it's time to talk about this Spider-Man figure. And I gotta say, this figure lived up to the hype that I was giving it in my own head. I was looking forward to this figure because it looked like an import based on the articulation that they showed off, and it honestly is. Like, this Marvel Legend is one of the best, if not the best, that they have made so far. And thankfully, it's a Spider-Man figure because we deserve a Spider-Man figure with good articulation and a good sculpt. So in a second, I'll show some comparisons to the Pizza Spidey, but just to kind of get an idea, he has butterfly joints, double elbows, a swivel on the wrists, and then on the legs, he has the rocker, normal hinge. He has a boot cut, which is really nice to have, which I don't believe we had on Pizza Spidey. I'll check in a second. Thigh swivel. And most importantly, he has this drop down on the legs, like we've seen with the new G.I. Joe Snake Eyes figure, which is a game changer when it comes to getting some crazy poses in for Spider-Man. And then up on the head sculpt, he has a hinge inside the neck there. Let me pop this bad boy off. He has like a ball and a peg, so you can get some crazy range. And then on the back, actually, there is a empty spot, basically a cutout. That way you can get some extra head tilt towards the back, so he can look up pretty far. And just to show you that, he can get his head all the way up there, which there will be some gap, but if you angle it right, you obviously cannot see that. And here we are with the new Spider-Man and the Pizza Spidey. Felt like I was recreating the pointing Spider-Man meme there for a second, but anyway, side angle, as you can see, we've got Mr. Buff, new retro Spider-Man, and Spider-Man who looks like he hasn't had any food in about a month. So definitely nice to have a update when it comes to size of a figure. It actually is showing its age a little bit, just when it comes to seeing a figure like this. So very similar paint, as you can see. This one's a little bit lighter, but when it comes to that mid articulation, this is what I wanted to save to talk about. As you can see with Pizza, it has a cutoff just to do the normal swivel and crunch. But when it comes, if I can actually get Pizza Spidey to stand, there we go. When it comes to the retro one, he has an entire crunch swivel slash ball joint in his hip, as well as a crunch right here, but there is no cut, so that's the one lacking thing, which is fine because it is really noticeable when you twist like this. Like, it just looks weird. like now that I have a figure that doesn't do that, it's weird. So this is definitely what we have wanted in a Spider-Man figure, and it is definitely worth the hype that it has been getting. Highly suggest this. I'm probably going to have one for my shelf as one for my desk because I cannot stop posing this figure. So as for accessories, he comes with the throwback Spider-Man head, like the older TV show with these smaller eyes. And I actually almost forgot the Peter Parker figure, which has disappeared from me. That is not in camera. He is right here. He actually did come with another head sculpt. He came with this one, which is half Spider-Man, half Peter Parker. So obviously the Spider-Sense stylized head, which is actually pretty cool how they made it. They did a great job of exactly what they wanted to do. Like, even the nose bridge meets. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it meets as if, like, this really is a mask. So definitely, it fits on this one as well as the Peter Parker figure. So just another head sculpt to throw in there. And just out of curiosity, this Peter Parker head sculpt does fit on the new Spider-Man figure. There is some gappage when you start moving it around, but otherwise this does look really good. Obviously the same sculpt, the beat up one from the Craven 2-pack, does fit on here as well. And the Peter Parker head does fit on the new Peter Parker figure too. So just as a heads up, this almost looks like it was made for the figure. So great job by Hasbro making everything kind of fit together and be able to use past accessories. The one gripe I do have about this wonderful figure is that we did not get any wall-crawling hands, which honestly kind of surprised me. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't do that, but what I did is actually took the Pizza Spidey hands, wall-crawling hands, shaved down a little bit of those jutting out pegs. As you can see, my lovely scratch marks that I used with a box cutter, because I'm an animal and don't care about my toys apparently. But I was desperate to get him into some wall crawling poses. So as you can see, had to shave it down about that much. Wish I had one that had the pegs on it, but I don't right now. But that is what I had to do to get these to fit. So I will show you in a second what that looks like. And here he is with those wall crawling hands. Swiveling it is a little tight, so that does make me a little worried. I'm not going to get too crazy with the movement, but there is one specific pose that I wanted to get this figure in to test the articulation, and I'm about to show you. And as you can see, very familiar Spider-Man pose. One that I just immediately wanted to try to test out the articulation. And as you can see, lots of movement in the midsection in order to get that pose. As you can see, his spider booty. And for some more size comparisons, here he is next to the Ultimate Spider-Man and the Symbiote Spider-Man. The Pizza Spidey body mold is a little bit taller, but I think this is the perfect size for Spider-Man. Obviously, the Ultimate is a little guy. And here he is next to the Miles Morales figure from the 2-pack at Target. I really hope we do get a new Miles Morales figure soon, because we desperately need it, with some updated articulation and a new head sculpt. Maybe even the rumored Spider-Verse wave will give us that figure. And that will do it, guys. As for my final thoughts on this wave, if you can get it early and you really want it, go for it. But show a little bit more patience than me and wait till September when these guys are due. Probably more like August, I would hope, since they are trickling out already. But very awesome wave. Obviously, you don't get as much bang for your buck since there's no Build-A-Figure in this wave. But when it comes to just the cards and the retro feeling, and just specifically for this new Spider-Man figure, it's worth it. So even if you just get the Spider-Man figure, which I already imagine is going to be really tough to get when this wave hits, get the freaking Spider-Man figure. It is amazing. Highly suggest it. 10 out of 10. Can't say enough about this figure. So hopefully this is the beginning of lots of new great articulation when it comes to our main heroes. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I know this isn't the most in-depth review, but hopefully got some information out there for you guys to think about this wave and consider your options. And feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want to see some more reviews, because they will be coming, especially for Legends. Black Series, and various other properties. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video.